Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, YouTube, everywhere these clips are going to be going live and in charge. So, welcome to the broadcast, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, and welcome again, everybody, to the show. So, today's broadcast is about when old becomes new. Mr. Nice Guy, if you're going to show up today, we have got some stuff to show you. We also have some cool stuff that came in today. Or yesterday. It didn't come in today, obviously, because it's still early. Got one of them pesky little hairs that hurts right there. All right. So, welcome to the show, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions. When old becomes new is today's topic. And that was tickling my nose. So, when old becomes new. Dug up some old artwork that I did a long time ago. And, that's one of the cool things. I've gotten to work on a lot of cool stuff over the years. And as far as artwork goes, because I used to work for a metals manufacturing company in their art department. And we used to design stuff for pretty much everybody. From Nolan Ryan to Dr. Pepper to PBR to NFR to NFYR, any rodeo out there that was available. And worked with some cool companies, did a lot of cool designs, and I was able to find some. And even when I worked for Midwest Trophy in the last few years of me working in that industry, the metals industry, where buckles were made and Super Bowl trophies were made and college trophies were made for all the football games, for all the bowl games. You know, we did a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool designs, and if Mr. Nice Guy shows up, I will show some of these off, but I am going to show them off anyway, and hopefully he does arrive. And Casey, if you show up, there was nothing that I could hear on that EVP recording of the ghost session from that other morning when all the knocks and stuff were going on. So yes, I do EVP sessions here in my own home, in my own office specifically, because that's where a lot of my encounters happen, right here in this office. That's why I have this little guy on hand, on standby on a regular basis. So welcome to the show, everybody. When old becomes new, and I'm hoping some of my regulars come on and check things out. But I am going to kick it off with bum 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 right here, Legacy Comics, and copyright Legacy Comics and representative creators, all rights reserved. Blah 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 blah. And it gives you all of the stuff in here. Written by Patrick Hickey Jr. Letters, pencils, inks, and colors by Joshua Adams. Variant cover by Monty Anderson. That's me. So this is my cover. This is one of the covers. He had two covers for it on digital format. And this one is the regular cover, not the version. But there it is. He signed it for me, and I'm getting ready to sign it here on air. And then I'm going to encapsulate it for forever in its plastic sleeve. So, here is this, making sure that it's writing. And here we go. Right here, the cover. With my dog tags as well. And there you go, folks. Autographed on air. Right there is mine, going right across the top. You can see it better up there than you can down here. But it's right there. With his here, Patrick Hickey signed it right there. And once that dries, it will go in its protective sleeve for forever. So that is my variant cover. And if you don't believe me, here's the painting I did for it as well. It is available. If you want to buy it, go for it. I would love for you to buy it. Just like the shirt I'm wearing is from the painting I did right here. So there you go. Dun dun dun. They're twins. So you can buy that too. You can buy the original painting, or you can buy a shirt. Plus the other shirts that I've got available as well. Which there they are. With my new stickers. My new stickers right there. Dun dun dun. What up, Mr. Roy, Joe, Twinkle Toes, Sparkle Butt, Bradley Twilight Jr.? Welcome to the broadcast. I'm glad you are awake. And yes, that's awesome that I got these in yesterday, my comps for working on this. Bum, bum, bum. I have some of these available. If anybody's interested in one of these, let me know. They will go for a pretty penny of just $5. Plus shipping, of course. The artwork's very cool on the inside. So just know that you can get this and you can get some cool artwork like this in there as well. I'm just reading some of this. Because he did some cool stuff for some people in here. He didn't have to, but he did just because he's that kind of person in there. But again, it is now dry. Eating tacos, watching me. You're eating tacos at 4:20 in the morning. That means you went to Taco Hell to grab some tacos. Dude, I just talked about you, Casey. I said, you weren't here yet. But I said, if Casey arrives, or if Casey shows up, we did not have any sounds on the EVP. I did listen. I didn't hear anything. But my computers are also acting stupid and won't get my file off of what essentially turns into a USB device once it gets plugged in. But I've got to find my drivers and download those again, because apparently it doesn't want to do that on its own like it's supposed to. Plug and play technology is not plug and play. So, but no, I didn't hear anything. I re-listened to it just off of the recorder, and you can't hear anything. You can just hear background noise and things like that. So, unfortunately, I don't think there's anything on that EVP session this go around. And now, if Mr. Nice Guy pops in, that would be cool, because I can show him some cool stuff that I printed out. But no, I will show everybody. What today's title is: When Old Becomes New, because we've been talking about artwork and everything else. Well, this is the artwork that I used to do when I worked in the industry, and we used to do a lot of cool different things for Midwest Trophy, MTM recognition, as they are called, and for award design medals back in the early 90s till 2001, whenever he decided to retire and go about his own life, because he started that company in 71 in his garage, and it lasted until 2001. And then he decided it was time for him to retire. His kids didn't want the company, because I believe one was a doctor and one was a lawyer at the time. And they were like, what are we going to do with the metals manufacturing company? So he sold it into two parts. One went to Arena Brand, which owns like Wrangler and Montana Silversmiths and things like that. And then the other portion of it, which was the cast portion, got sold to Midwest Trophy. They're in Del City, Oklahoma, and I worked with them from 2001 until 2007. Well, technically 2008. Whenever I got back from, no, it was 2007. Middle of 2007 when I got back from Afghanistan. And then I turned in my letter of resignation because then I became a trainer for the military for the next 2 years of my military career, which was 8 years, uh, 6 active, 2 inactive, and they never called me back for the sleeper section of my contract. So, which was cool. I mean, it was fine, but I was prepared if they did. So there you go. So, a lot of these designs were done back in the early 2000s, before some of you were even born that are watching the show. Um, 2005, 2000, even earlier than that. And which is all good and cool and stuff like that. But we'll kick off with this little design. This was for the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum. Yes, we designed rings for them. Basically, they already had the ring. They just wanted a new topper. So we drew up a new uh, piece from their wrestling uh, statue that they had there at the museum. And that went on top of their ring, of their signet ring. And created a whole new bezel for them up top. So basically, we designed this whole section up here. Right there. But then I designed this whole thing, this whole advertisement for them to look at, because this is how we presented stuff to them. Like if they wanted to get it framed and stuff like that, this is what they could do. You know, that's how we designed and presented stuff to them. And then you got the Walmart Texas Tournament Trail, which was a fishing tournament sponsored by ABU Garcia. Right there. So I did Walmart stuff before I even worked at Walmart. Right there. That was early 2000s. The Aspen International, or actually Aspen Winter National, uh, Sirius XM, whenever they used to do the winter sports, the like X Games and things like that. I don't know if anybody ever remembers those, but I've got X Games coming up next. But this is one of the medallions that they got right there for a trophy. This was the gold. Of course, you had silver and bronze as well, but that was the gold. You also had X Games 2001, Philadelphia, PA, sponsored by ESPN and ESPN2. This is just the line work for that medallion that they got, their trophy medallion. And then some people like, you know, championship series. So 2004 World Series champions, your Boston team right here, Mr. Roy. I know you like Boston, so there you go. 2004, when your team won the championship. I know he's spitting tacos right now. And then a lot of Western stuff. This is one of the designs I did for National Western Stock Show and Rodeo 2001, Denver, Colorado. This was the order form for it that people got. But this is the line work that we used to do for a belt buckle. And then the die cashers would go in there, cut it out into blocks, and then they would go in there with the designer, well, not the designer, but the finisher, and they would carve it out. And they're doing all this backwards because when you print your design into the die plate, the cast plate, it's backwards. You're looking at everything backwards. So they were a talented group of people to bring these things to life. This was one of the 1999 collector's buckle for the Heston National Finals Rodeo by Heston, 1999. I designed this whole ad that was in the books and stuff like that. And this is one of the buckles that we worked on. These were fun. This was all the PBR stuff. I designed this buckle. Designed this buckle too. I don't remember if I did this one or not, but I did up all these advertisements for the magazines and for PBR themselves. And then of course this one. This was one of the high dollar buckles because it was made out of silver and gold. Right there. And then some inaugural ACC football for you. No, me likes Boston, buddy. Awesome looking stuff you've done. And this one is the ACC championships for the inaugural ACC football championships when it kicked off in 2005 by ABC and Dr. Pepper. And this is just a different, I think it's different. No, it's the exact same one. So I don't know why it was in there twice. But no, it's just the same thing. Two of the same one. I thought it was different, but apparently it wasn't. And then again, just some line work of some of the medallions and stuff that we used to put on buckles or what they call motifs that you could add to any cast or any trophy buckle. This is how detailed we used to have to get. And you see, each of these lines represent a depth so that the die caster knew that this is a different depth than this, and this, and this, so that they could round it out. Just like all these lines that you see coming in here, all this stuff. I didn't know we had a celebrity amongst us. Showing everybody. And this one was for Mark Kinzer, three-time winner at the Knoxville Raceway, 2001, August 8th through the 11th, Knoxville, Iowa, with that same type of car that you just saw right there. This could have been his car. No, not his car. This is a Mopar, sponsored by Mopar. But this is the buckle that we designed for him, for his winning ways. And when we drew these up, these things were literally this big when we drew them up at a 3-to-1 size. So that whenever they took that and traced that plate into the metal for the die, it would take it down to its actual size of about here, you know. And then what Mr. Nice Guy wanted to see was this type of stuff that I worked for or with. And this says your Boston City of Champions because at that point in time, uh, Boston had won a championship, and then unfortunately the Patriots won a championship as well. And these were some of the designs and the Super Bowl rings that were going out. and just regular rings to people who wanted them for, of course, the Patriots. You could have got, several different watches that we designed, several different rings, but these weren't the actual Super Bowl rings that they got, because those were well encrusted with real diamonds and things like that. And you can see what they actually look like. But these were just some of the watches and stuff that we did, as well as the Super Bowl rings. But I just don't have the Super Bowl rings actually here to look at. These are some of the watch faces you could have got with the watch. And Casey says, my art is much like a child's. I'm not good at it. I'm lucky if I can do stick people. Stick people make money for people out there. Go look at some of that. And then Mr. Roy Joe Twinkletoes Sparklebutt Bradley Twilight Jr.'s favorite team when they went undefeated 13-0 and won the national championship right there. Right there. In 2000. And again, more of the championship winning ways with Josh Heupel, their quarterback. Right there. These are some of the design works I did, including t-shirts, right there, and right here. And then I saved the best for last when it comes to design work. Um, this one was always cool to see, and I'm pretty sure he still owns it. And he wore it every Monday night. Nope, all true. Believe everything Monty Anderson says because he speaks the truth about Roy, Joe, Twinkletoes, Sparklebutt, Bradley Twilight Jr. It's a lot to say. On a regular basis. So, the best for last, one of the cooler designs that I ever did, was for a man. I don't like the music because I'm not a country fan, but it was a catchy jingle on Monday Night Football. Mr. Hank Williams Jr. Yes, I designed the buckle that he wore, and he prominently showed it on the show, on the football, right before the football game, whenever he was singing the jingle. This is the one that I designed, that he wore. My favorite college team is Oklahoma Sooners, bub. And Casey says, go Sooners. But this is one that he actually wore, and I don't know if he still wears it periodically or not, but he it was very prominent on those commercial or not commercials, that little snippet right before the football game would kick off. So there you go. And I designed it, and he wore it. And like I said, I've done a lot of stuff for a lot of people. I couldn't find my Nolan Ryan designs. I couldn't find, I mean, there's just so much you do when you work for companies like this that, of course, you never kept, uh, because most of it never even got digitized. Most of it never even got a picture or anything like that. But, um, but just know we worked on a lot of Super Bowl rings, especially for the Patriots there, unfortunately, just because they were the winning Super Bowl champions in that era. And don't forget, you can get some T-shirts like the one I'm wearing now. Go Sooners! Yes, I believe you, Roy. You don't have to yell it so loud. It's okay. I don't know about hog country. I eat hog. That's about all I know. It tastes good on my sandwiches and my breakfast. But you can also order Chester Bennington American Horror, Bad Habit, and the Turtles, which isn't on a shirt like the other ones yet, but it will be. And I'm going to put a couple more designs out there to see if more people bite on those as well. But if you are interested in any of this stuff, go for it. Hit me up. We can always make a deal. Let's make. I'm Monty Hall. Let's make a deal. So there you have that. That's some of my old work that I did back in the, as you saw, 1999, until late or early 2005, I guess, how you look at it. And thank you, Mr. Roy, for awesome looking work, buddy. I appreciate it. I mean, we used to do a lot of cool stuff. I mean, especially whenever I transitioned over to Midwest Trophy, because they had the better technology than we did at Award Design Metals at the time. And because a lot of their stuff wasn't even on computer right off the bat, but then they wanted to try and start using that stuff more and more. And so we had to get the designs in to the computer, which was scanning it in, taking a lot of our pre-existing gold and silver and stuff like that and scanning it into the computer, and then redrawing those fleur de lis and stuff, or not just the fleur de lis, but the scroll work and stuff like that they represented, as far as the gold and silver that actually got put on the trophy buckles that went to people. And so it was a tedious task, but once it started working a lot better and we got a bunch of design work in there, it was a lot easier after that. Um, we used Corel Draw at first, and then we transitioned over to Adobe products, and uh, just went from there. It was pretty cool, pretty awesome. And I don't do as much design work on the computer anymore, except for my own stuff. So, um, oh, you love calligraphy? I used to like it back in the day. Before, let's see, it was early in the 80s, anywhere between 82 to right before I graduated high school, and uh, and then went to my technical college for artwork and got my commercial arts degree in commercial arts, where I picked up a few more skill sets. Uh, but it was fun. It was good. I mean, calligraphy is fun, and I'm not a big handwriting person. If you see my shit, whenever it's done in hand, it looks horrible. People are asking me, "What does that say?" So, but calligraphy can be fun, and it can also be very hard to read for some people as well. Especially this new generation that doesn't even have to write in cursive, you know, now. And then they see cursive out there, and they're like, "Oh, is that hieroglyphics?" You know, those type things. And so there you go on that note. I'm very close to narrowing it down on these two covers that I'm working on as well. Um, that he keeps changing a couple things here and there. I'm hoping one of these days I can get to show some of this stuff. I think I'm gonna ask him if I can show this stuff on my social media, so that people can see what's happening out there with it. So that you guys just don't think that I'm just doing homestead stuff, because that's all I've been showing here lately. Um, I'm getting ready to start on two more pieces as well from the other guy that's already commissioned me to do some work, while we're trying to banter back and forth on this little character that is getting created, because he still thinks he looks a little pudgy in the face, but kids are pudgy in the face, and that's basically what this is a kid, you know, and he's taken it to the realm of a grown up in the face, if you will. And so, we'll get there. We'll get to a happy medium at some point in time with this character, and go from there. So, um, but I don't know if you were here, Casey. My comic book came in right there. This is my Job 3 cover. I autographed it on the show, and he already autographed it before it came in to me. And I've got my comps here to sell at shows or on the show. Those type of things. But since it's going to be, a few more months before I'm actually back at comic book conventions, and okay, you did see. Okay, cool. Um, Before I'm back at comic book conventions, I'll have these sitting here with my other covers as well, which is my other number 3 cover. I'm not on a number 1 yet, but I am on 2 number 3 books when it comes to Psycho Sal number 3 and The Job number 3. So, written by Mr. Patrick Hickey himself, Jr., and drawn by Adams. And, dang it. I can't look at the back because it's covered. It is now encapsulated for forevers and will never come out of this protective cover. I already looked at the inside and read a little bit of it, and it's pretty good stuff. So, if you are interested in Legacy Comics, they have a website, and they also have a Facebook page, Legacy Comics with an X on the comic side, and you can go check them out. They've got a lot of cool stuff. He's a cool dude, Mr. Patrick Hickey. He is a voice actor himself. He does a lot of the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. He is the phone guy if you play Five Nights at Freddy's, any of their video game series. He has done the voice of the phone guy on Five Nights at Freddy's, Into the Pit, and one of the other Five Nights at Freddy games as well. And he's done a bunch of other voice actors or voiceovers for other things as well. But go check him out, Patrick Hickey Jr. You can find him in my friends list on Facebook. And just go check out his stuff. He does a lot of cool stuff, and he's a very humble person, very down to earth. And I will be working with him again. Just don't know on which project, as he's got new projects in the works all the time. I'm trying to get him to get me on one of his number 1 covers, so we'll see how that goes. But again, he's got a lot of stuff to check out, a lot of cool stuff that you can go look at and see if there's anything that you would purchase from him. And he does a lot of digital covers first before he rolls out the actual physical covers. So I like the voice. You've got mail. The old AOL. Dang. Some people are like, what? Or Yahoo. Back in the day. The old screechy dial-up that you had to connect to before you could actually get to the interweb out there. And nobody else could use the phone because if they did, it just kicked you off the internet. Oh, Lord. Kids are giggling. That's cool. But no, it's, and then the old movie, You've Got Mail, based off of You've Got Mail type of thing. So it's all good. It's all fun and dandy. So yeah, yes, I do have a refrigerator in my office. It's an old hotel refrigerator that they were getting rid of. And they were like, you guys want it? And we're like, well, hell yeah. It still works, right? It needed a good cleaning, but we got that sucker knocked out, cleaned out, and ready to go. Oh, got a therapy session this morning at 9:30. No kids here, huh? Oh, when you started, yeah. Oh yeah. AOL, good old AOL. I mean, yeah, AOL was the thing. I mean, you had the whole disk that you had to put in to download the program onto your computer, and crazy times, man, crazy times. But yeah, no, Yahoo and AOL, and now everything is, you know, with Napster back in the day. I mean, where you could get all your music, and kids today just don't know any of that stuff. You know, yes, goodbye. Yeah, that was always fun stuff. I mean, it was a pain in the ass back in the day because you would sit there for, you know, 3, 4, 5 minutes just waiting for it to actually connect to the internet, and then it was so slow that. But back then you didn't know any better because, I mean, today's technology, boom, you're on the internet just like that. You pick up your phone, I'm on the internet. You know, whereas back in the day you had to sit there. No, kids would die. They'd be smashing their cell phones or their keyboards into the table and stuff like that. They'd be so angry. The angsty teens would come out, up today. And oh yeah, yep, we were in tall cotton back then. Yeah, I mean, if you were lucky enough to have it, I was out of the house before I actually had internet, and all that good stuff going from my own house. And I didn't have the whole internet section at my house and stuff like that. And well, thank you, Mr. Roy, for the "How are you" gift. Texas Instruments, yeah, that was one of the biggest computers out there, besides Commodore 64 and Amiga. A friend of mine swore by Amigas and Commodore 64s. That was his store that he had, and his main computer was an Amiga. I can't remember the brand, what nomenclature it was, but he had the Commodore 64 that he sold a lot of. Amiga was his main computer, and that's about the time that Apple started rolling out. Uh, uh, Texas Instruments had their stuff coming out, uh, those type things, and then of course Microsoft came out, and so on and so forth as it moved on down the line. And Microsoft should have never happened, but anyway, that's just me. Blue screen of death, you know. But no, the floppy disk that you had to put in. Remember Pal Talk and MySpace. I believe my MySpace is still active out there. Because I never shut it down. And Pal Talk, yeah. And then of course you had your Yahoo groups, which was a cool way to connect with people out there of like interest. You know. But then of course that got abused, and it all went away, and those type things. So, but all the cool stuff back in the day that kids had no idea what it is of today, and that's part of the show. Uh, the whole topic here of, you know, when old becomes new. We're reminiscing about all the old stuff, and it's all. And I'm talking over here on Facebook because I have some viewership over there as well. And so yeah, I remember when Texas Instruments came out with first calculator. Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, it was the thing of the future, you know. And I mean, Texas Instruments are still relevant to today with all their calculating stuff and all kinds of different things like that. And it's just crazy to me that how much it has changed. The red LED watches. Oh yeah, 100%. And uh, crazy how technology has changed over the years. I can only imagine what my great grandmother saw. She was born in 1900, died in 95, you know. And so she got to see a lot of stuff um, as time progressed. And it's just crazy to me the technology that she got to see, in her lifetime. I mean, especially in the vehicle world, you know. And if you had a calculator watch, you were popular. I had a cheapo calculator watch. Is what I had, and I wasn't all that popular. People liked me, and I had a bunch of friends, now acquaintances, because a lot of the friends you had back in the day, you still talk to. Thank you. They you still talk to them, but you don't hang out like you used to. And yeah, the calculator watch, that was fun. That little bitty Dick Tracy thing on your wrist at the time. Ah, there's my answer after 50 clicks. And it does still equal 4 if you put in 2 plus 2. Not today's time, but anyway. Oh, some of the things that people come up with nowadays. 2 plus 2 equals 6. In what planet? Yes, now we're technically supposed to be in the Jetsons era right now, you know, and I don't see any of that stuff happening. I don't see our flying cars. People are still trying to invent them, yes, but uh, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Number one, you would have to register your vehicle with the FAA to get a flight pattern going back and forth to work or to the grocery store or wherever. You know, we're on here worldwide. We are. You know, going back in time like the rotary phone. Yeah, uh, and people, I've seen some serious TikToks, and kids now can't dial a phone. No, they can't. You know, hey, I don't even want to say it. Hey, S on your phone, call mom for me, and it dials the phone for you. Hey, this, call my best friend, or call Sammy or whatever, you know, and it calls them. People don't even know phone numbers today, you know, and wouldn't even know their own phone number if they didn't have to, call it. But no, all of this stuff. What I was getting ready to say, the serious TikToks about the rotary phone, I've seen plenty, and they're like, okay, go ahead and make a phone call, and they're like, what is this thing? You know, they're like, what do we do with it? And like, you make phone calls with it. They're like, they're touching it, holding it, picking it up, and they're like, how? You know, and it's just amazing to me that that technology is so lost and gone that it used to be the thing of the day. I mean, what if they had the phone that I've got in my library that doesn't even have a rotary on it? You know, you used to have to pick it up, tap the little plunger on the phone itself, and then, hey Mabel, I need to be patched through to John's house over here. Oh, not a problem, Miss Summers. Hold on. You know, yeah, yeah. Mine was in the wall as well. We had one on the wall and we had one on a table. So on a end table. So yeah, we had two in the house, and then I was lucky enough that my grandmother had a shop attached, not attached to the house, but it was a separate shop on the house, in the backyard where she used to have, clients come in to do their hair. And so it was a little salon, a beauty salon. And she had three drying stations, a washing station, a bathroom, all that good stuff. And that got turned into a bedroom eventually. So my sister was in there for a while, and then once she moved out of the house, I got the bedroom outside. So I wasn't even sleeping in the house with everybody else. I had my own room, my own space, a bathroom, all that good stuff, and it had a phone in it too. So I had my. It wasn't really a separate phone because it was still attached to the house, but I had a phone in my room, in my bedroom, so that was exciting. Whereas some people didn't even have an outlet in the room, but they had the long cord that stretched all the way through the freaking house. You know, in 30s, no dial, crank and ask the operator to connect, and party lines. Yeah, party lines were still a thing in the 80s. Because we used to hit that in Bethany whenever we would pick up our not cell phone, pick up our phone to make some phone calls. You would hear chatter going on already, and it's just like, oh, somebody else is already on the entire line right now. You know, but you could still make your phone calls through to other people eventually. It took a little time sometimes, but you could do it, and so there is that. So that was always good times back in the day. Because sometimes, and I'm not saying that you would always get a party line, but you could tell. And but yes, the crank phones were cool. But then after the crank, that's when it went to the no rotary, but just the single uh, flat front with the receiver on top of the plungers, and they would pick that up and they would act like the rotary. They would tap it a couple times and ask for Mabel or whoever was on the other phone that was still switchboarding, all the stuff. Yes, Elvis had a briefcase phone, and if you were rich enough, you could get anything you wanted. It's just like those rich people that had the car phones in the little satchel that you could carry around, with you. That had the battery that was, you know, the battery was this big, for the thing, and probably about this wide, and it was in the bottom of that satchel that they would carry, the little carrying case, and then of course this was your your cell phone right here, hello, hello, which was your car phone esque look there. So, but yeah, no, it was the times have changed so much that you know this is the cell phone of the future right here. Hey, how's it going? This is going to be your cell phone. You're going to be talking to people. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I see you too. All that good stuff. I mean, we think the phones now are are cool, but just wait until it's just the screen. You know, and technically people can see what's happening on the other side in reverse. You know, we all did fine then. The 70s, 80s, and early 90s were great times. I mean, I can't say it was safer times back then. I mean, the 60s when you grew up as well. Um, but we weren't locking our doors. We weren't worried about someone wandering into our house. We weren't worried about, all kinds of different things we weren't worried about back then. And nowadays, we have security cameras. We have locked doors, double, triple locked doors sometimes. We've got, you know, bars on our windows and bars on our doors and, all this crazy stuff. I brought us into the present. And, back then, I mean, life was simpler. We weren't checking phones on a regular basis. We weren't checking Facebook or MySpace on a regular basis. We weren't checking AOL mail on a regular basis, you know? And life was just simpler back in those days. And nowadays, it's just like if somebody doesn't have a cell phone in their hand looking at it, there's no conversation to be had. I brought us into the 90s, class of 90 right here. Thank you very much. You and me both. So, remember our old iPads, the plastic sheet on the back, on a black back? Pull it and clear it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, life was so much simpler back in those days. I mean, now everything is so complicated that it's hard to focus on a lot of things. And that's why you get all these new diagnoses that we didn't have back in our day. You know, ADD, ADHD, yeah, Etch a Sketch. Yes, I remember Etch a Sketch. And I knew what you were talking about. And just like Light Bright, we could draw pictures with our iPads of that day, that light brights, you know, turn on the color of powered lights, and but no, it's life was just simpler. Life was easier back in those days. I mean, it was still hard, because we had our own hardships, especially if you were working a very menial wage job back in that day, and that's all I seemed to find. Even though I was working for a company like that, I wasn't getting paid great, you know. Yeah, oh yeah, TG&Y. I mean, depending on where you were, you had your own, your own uh, stores of the time. But TG&Y, I mean, up until recently, Toys R Us, one of the greatest toy stores ever to have existed, and Hibdon's, not the tire company. There was not a grocery store. It was a convenient, not. It was a, kind of like a Walmart back in the day in War Acres, Oklahoma. But it went out, you know, sometime in the '90s, and it's now a church where the building used to sit. But they still have the sign on the side of the building and what used to be there. And then Mr. Roy, old football game just with lighted up dots. Yeah, there was that. The vibrating football. Yep. You put all your players out there, and you have your one with the football, and then you would hit that button on the board, and they'd all start moving towards each other. And he would sometimes get knocked over by one of the other players, and but that's how he tried to score. Yeah. Remember Green Giant sign on Portland grocery store? Yeah, yeah, I do. But yeah, no, times have changed, and it's just like, where did all that go? And just think, somebody's got this stuff, you know, from an old department store, just sitting somewhere in not really even in a vault, just in another building that was collected out of it because they couldn't get rid of it fast enough, or whatever. And all that nostalgia is sitting there somewhere, and some people still have it. Um, and it's very cool to see. Yes, a complete time capsule. Some of those time capsules should be getting opened up pretty soon. That were planted many, many moons ago, and we'll see what happens. I think we put a time capsule in one of our yards one time. Just can't remember which one. Stuff the kids wanted to put in there back in the early Actually, it would have been the mid '90s when two kids were around, and but yeah, no, those times were cool, and some of that stuff is making a comeback, just like it always does. Just like the bell bottoms made a comeback yet again. You know, they like they say the eras come back. You know, and that's why you see the rotary like phones out there, but it's push button now. You know, in the rotary configuration, and it's just weird to think about all that stuff that we used to have and that we used to see and maybe not have, but maybe we wanted or something like that that has come full circle. You know, because I mean you can find 3D prints of some of this stuff out there. You know, and turn 3D prints into ancient technology. You know, and it's just cool. It's just fun. You know, and it's just those things that you want to look at, you want to see again, and you have to go to a museum to see some of it. You know, our talks makes me think of the song "Time Keeps on Slipping, Slipping, Slipping into the Future." Yes, it's a great song because you want to fly like an eagle to the sea. But yeah, no, great stuff. I mean, even the classic songs of the days were better than a lot of the shit that's out there today, because it actually, had meaning, had purpose. Now, there's one guy on TikTok that I see that says, when you finally start listening to the lyrics of songs, some of the stuff back in the day that people were singing about should have raised some eyebrows back then. It sure does today. No, no, there's some great stuff today. Don't get me wrong, and it is completely different. And I love a lot of the stuff today. You know, especially the heavy metal and you know some of the rap stuff and but when it comes to a lot of the stuff today, it doesn't hold a candle to what we used to listen to back in the day, and it never will. But people just keep making music and it's ridiculousness, if you will. I can't say another word that I want to say that starts with an S and ends with a D, um, because I will get restricted over here. I will get a violation, and there are certain keywords you can't say, and so you got to come up with some other words like ridiculous or schmooped. There you go. And it's just like, so why do you think that song is good today? You know, and some people can't answer that question. It's just got a catchy beat. Thank you, TikTok. I would not have gotten through my day without that little puzzle piece that you put through there. But yeah, it's crazy the times how they've changed, and you know, it's just amazing. It is all the stuff that we've lived through, all the stuff that we've seen, even in our short existence. You know, I only hope to live, you know, as long as my great grandmother did to see what happens next. You know, and I'm not saying I'm checking out. I'm just saying, things can happen. Tomorrow's not promised, and it never was promised to anybody. That's why back in the early days, people had a life expectancy of about 30 years of age, you know, due to unclean health conditions and things of that nature. But then you got the people that lived to 112, you know. I was to put a pack on a fly. uh, they do have those jetpacks. They've also got the water jetpacks that you can use for uh, Oh, you want to? No, I get that. That would be cool. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how you're not burning your ass whenever you got that jet going right there next to your ass. You know, hopefully along our way we see Dallas Cowboys win more Super Bowls. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm ready for them to win like three in a row. I know that's not realistic, but hell, we can't even get a consecutive NFC East champion. You know, year after year. So yes, the dreams. But no, I'm just trying to figure out. You would have to have a blast panel that comes off, from the back of the jetpack, which you never see like in Lost in Space or anything like that. And that's another thing, Lost in Space. It just boom ended abruptly, and it's just like, wait a minute, what? It's kind of like the whole Star Trek back in the '60s, how they didn't finish it. It just boom ended. It's just like, wait, hold on, we got more story to tell. We can't just end like this. And that's how they did Lost in Space. I'm still upset. And yeah, you would definitely you wouldn't have to shave. That's for sure. Those people that actually shave back there, um, you definitely wouldn't have to shave. It would all be whoop gone. Just like whenever you fire up the grill for the first time and whoosh, there it goes, and there goes all the hair off your knuckles and your hand and your arm. Yeah, all that good stuff because you use too much accelerant. That happens a lot. Although I use safer practices these days, but you know, it is what it is. But Casey, Roy, I'm glad you guys are here. Yes, on the butt either. No eyebrows yet. Well, I haven't gone that far. I still have mine. You can't see them, but I've got them. You know, unlike there are some people that don't have them. Period. Some people just shave them on a regular basis, and I'm like, why? Makes you look weird. I mean, now if you're going through something, yes, I get that. Holy crap! Um, but if you don't have to shave your eyebrows, why not just trim them? You know? Yeah, no beard left either. I mean, aftermath of jetpack on hair. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Well, I mean, how? No, because the jetpack is only singeing your ass hairs off. It's not. I mean, maybe your leg hairs too. At that point in time, I mean, at that point in time, it's going to burn your pants right off of you, unless you got some fire retardant pants, and then it should be good. I mean, it would be hot still, but you know. Well, good. I'm glad I can make you laugh, buddy. Um, because that's what life should be about. It should be about laughter. Even if it's maniacal laughter, it should be about laughter. Now, life should be fun. Life should have meaning to a lot of people. You know, any bacon, I smell bacon. No, that's your ass, dude. Thank you for the likes there, Mr. Roy. Always appreciated. But no, life should be about joyous laughter and fun. And I know it's not always that, because life gets serious. And that sucks for everybody. Um, I know I let the seriousness happen in my life. You know, roast ass, both cheeks, yes. One's well done, one's medium rare, you know. and, but no, it you just gotta have fun with life. I let life tear me down sometimes because of what happens in it. Holy crap! And what goes on, and oh help, and but but yeah, no, we have to let us dictate what happens in our life. Let the laughter happen. Let it flow. And sometimes we just don't. Because we don't see that hope or that little silver lining later on down the road. So just like burning our ass cheeks with a jetpack, you know, which could be coming up in the next couple years. We don't know. Um, they are trying to go all electric cars to get rid of the emissions in the air. But yet our plants cause more emissions than, not the plants, but like manufacturing plants, cause more emissions than cars, you know. But we're not going to shut those down. We're not going to turn those all electric now, are we? So, but, pun of the joke, no pubes on the ad with your artwork. Oh, my lord. Good times, good times. Jetpack convenience. Yes, yes. But no, I'm ready to see what new technology they're going to come up with to help transportation. I mean, they've been trying to do, you know, basically the Star Trek stuff with the teleporters from point to point, you know, but I doubt they're anywhere close to that technology right now. And certain somebody is not making us go full electric, not saying his name. Tesla? Nikolai Tesla? Ben Franklin? Oh, Jenny? Can't power that fool. Um, I want my house to be full solar. Screw the electric company. Screw OG&E. 100%. I'm dreading to see my next bill after this one that I'm getting ready to pay, just because I've had to run some air conditionings in all of the house, and that means 5 window units being used. You know, and since they took out the central air but left the central heat system, which is ancient technology. Speaking of, it needs to be modernized as well. But uh, I'm thinking about going mini splits, which are supposedly a little bit more cost efficient than your window units, even though it's technically a window unit in and of itself. Uh, well, apparently my internet is acting wonky on me right now. Apparently my internet is acting wonky on me right now, so um, it does that periodically, and I don't understand why, because I've got full green and I've got great signal from my machine over here, my modem, because I'm looking right at it and it's not giving me any indicators that it's having a problem. There's you are. I'm back. I'm sorry for the freezing bit in there, but I was talking about the window units in the house, and I don't know why it decided to start acting up on the internet side, because again, I've got full bars on everything, and my green lights are going, so it should not have been acting up, but it does that. I think it does like updates at certain point in times, and it affects everything, because we do have issues with the internet at certain points of time of the day. So, but yes, a hiccup. But folks, I am gonna leave you guys to your own devices. I got some artwork to touch up, and I got some artwork to start before I start my homesteading stuff in about 2 hours. Well, the pigs should be waking up again. And you guys have a great day. And as I like to say as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.